Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. We're going to continue my playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8 and Third Reich events installed. Hoping for some good events to come up to help reduce our descent levels, because it's pretty high. But we're going to get right into it. Keep 1937 rolling along, and we no longer receive some money coming in for those fuel and supplies, but we're still in the positive trend. Readjust that up a teeny bit. Let's move it up a bit more. Locking it in to hopefully get that down a little bit, but we're having a bunch of factories being put on the board very soon. I stuck a bunch of additional ones in the queue. Okay, Mercedes-Benz W31. I remember this car from my youth. I don't know if any of you else have watched Hogan's Heroes. I know I'm speaking to an international audience that may not, but one of the cars used was one of the very few in the series. In the opening credits was the 3-axle Mercedes-Benz. It was designed as a staff car by Mercedes-Benz. It had a 6x6 drive, comfortable seats for carrying 7 people, and it was expensive. You can sort of see here. I wish these just shave about that much. Just use that block off of these would be good. So if anybody's listening, I mean, I like the big events, but just slightly shorter would be nice. Bunch of them there. That's actually the one that was given to Franco, and on his death, I guess, the King of Spain inherited it. Now it's in the King of Spain's collection. And that's a version 2 machine guns mounted on it. It was designed as a sort of standard German army staff car for reasonably high officials, and not designed as a huge luxury car. It's, like I said, 7, so you carry your staff around in it. Basically, the Wehrmacht found it too expensive, so it never went into proper series production, which kept it even more expensive if you just make a few at a time. Hitler got, I think it was 2 or 3 of them. You can sometimes check his license plate numbers out, which one he's being used. But he also was driven around, and he always rode in the front seat, but never learned to drive. So it was the passenger front seat, never in the back. Sometimes you see him with a 2-axle Mercedes, and he has several of those. And so we can decide to do it's going to cost us money, supplies, quite a bit, with a little bit of prime mover gain out of it, or not. I'm going to go for this. It's a coin toss-up whether this is a good, positive cost versus expense. But so we're going with that event, and that represents just increasing Mercedes production of staff car type vehicles for the German army to use. Okay, no longer get money for fuel from the Soviet Union. Demonstration of the Reiter-SA holds many demonstrations for the public around the nation, showing off the SA, jumping things, just basically horse riding event, shall we say. So yes, we lose supplies doing that. Again, sometimes they don't give you the choice, because people are going to decide not to lose the supply. But it's just part of the National Socialist regime and its demonstrations and such. This placards from a little bit earlier, I think 35 or something, but they also hold many cross-country rides competition to improve training. These aren't, to the best of my understanding, public attendance events. These were just like 160 kilometers, riding a cross-country predetermined course for training purposes. So they did a lot of that, and that also cost us some supplies maintaining those. There are events coming up because of this that will improve various training aspects later on. But this just shows how the SA was being used, because many of those young men, as individuals, not as units, but as individuals, eventually go into the army, and they provide. Germany had actually very few. The German army had very few German cavalry units during World War II, but they had a huge amount of horses, millions of horses being used during World War II, and to get good riders for those horses, even if they're towing. Sometimes, obviously you're riding in the wagon that they're towing, but other times you're riding on the horses that are towing artillery pieces and other things. So they very much improved their horses and their training. Okay, this was another in the province of Lubeck here. Another thing that I found that was missing, I added to start some air bases. This was the primary seaplane base for Germany, both civilly and militarily. At first, obviously, it started, I think, in World War I with that, but it continued with the civil flying boat service, because they used a lot of flying boats for crossing things like the Atlantic, but also flying just anywhere, everywhere setup. So I added that in, and it became the primary base for German flying boats, and part of the Estella. This was for the sea air, for this Estella Sea, but for part of the research and testing for the Luftwaffe. This was, again, like I say, for the float planes, flying boats, and those similar. This is the primary base for it. So we have a chance to spend quite a bit. The supplies are really hurt there. Keep using up a lot of metal, which is good, but that. And we will gain more air bases there, or no need. We have a choice, because it's already there. Just do we want to expand it and improve our research in certain areas? We're going to expand it. So now, as you see, we are, and this is another one of those cases. I should probably see about doing the little red thing to pump it to the top of the queue. This will give you the supplies for money. New Zealand. Alright. Don't ever attack Haiti. Whatever you do, don't ever attack Haiti with black ice. Okay, our ground crews have improved. We'll go over here. Let's take a look, see we already have a few days of naval air. Well, Republic in Spain is still holding out. They're actually expanding their enclave there. Okay, direct fire unit combined arms. Anti-tank guns, anti-aircraft guns. Here. Ship that over there. Now, hoping it's somebody that we really wanted to improve relations with, but a bunch of these will quit shortly. Ooh, Japan, yes. So now Japan, somebody we wanted to improve relations with. U.S. don't want to do that either. So they'll continue to be a trading partner. We're still producing more supplies than we need, and we're building that up. Transport ship hull has advanced. Okay. Gotta get it to at least 2, so we're gonna keep that going there. I want to build invasion vessels early. Proper invasion vessels. Yes, that is somewhat ahistorical for Germany, that's quite true. I don't claim to be fully running everything out pure history. But though generally politically developments we are going along roughly the historical path. Okay, and we are still producing lots of factories. And we're down to 4.39 ICs to produce an IC. So we're getting that well developed. See the areas that we're observing as we continue to observe the Spanish Civil War. Okay, here we go, the Paris Exposition. This is the event that we, a few episodes ago, started the development for the German pavilion. There's the German pavilion to give you this scale. Obviously looking towards the Eiffel Tower there. All along these sides and going up towards the Eiffel Tower there are the various national pavilions going on. As you can see, the Soviet pavilion is, to the best of my understanding, directly across, so we're looking at the same relative heights. We have a taller one, our building's taller, our eagles up there are on top taller. They just are getting up near to the top of our roof of our building, only with the peak of their little hammer and sickle symbol. So we outdid the Soviets, hoorah, hooray. This is a period colorized image, not a modern one, so it's sort of what they saw at the time. Somebody thinking they know what it is. So yes, so we've done that. You see it's Expedition International Des Arts and Technologies, Slavia, Modern International Expedition dedicated to art and technologies in modern life. Okay, so it's being held from the 25th of May to the 25th of November 1937. So monument of German pride and achievement. So we will improve our relations with a bunch of Germans, diplomats, tourists, business people all going to France. We will improve our relations with that. So that happens, and there's two color photos, close up of the eagle. You can see how big there's full-size people there, and so obviously they can walk up those steps, and those are double and triple high doors. Give you the scale of this building. It was pretty big, and again, I say I don't know exactly what it was built out of, whether it's stone or something. There, and because of our competition with the Soviets, we hurt our relations by 7 with them. At night, looking at it through the fountains, it was all lit up at night. Inside, that was going on. We'll go more info. I sort of generally try to push you to go to do the more info, because obviously you go, okay, get nothing more. Here, a bunch of countries that attended, we improve our relations with. I looked at that. It's diplomatic relations. This is inside the pavilion. I think looking down from the front entrance, or back to the front entrance, glass booths with a bunch of things in it. You can see right here, This is this new German racing car in there. Give this sort of size and scale of it. We also get a chance to use this as industrial espionage, so we will get until December 1937 espionage bonus, industrial intel bonus, research efficiency bonus, because we are also sending all of our people around to look at all of the other nations, what they're showing off as their most advanced technology. That, I think, should be a different picture. And this also shows that we're not a threat to anybody. Not a threat at all. So it's a threat. Here's a sort of close-up of the car. Very streamlined, very modern. This also fascinated me. Now, this is at the back of the building, and my understanding of the way this works, and I'll explain it to you. Obviously, here's a peaceful fighter plane, single-engine peaceful fighter plane, and this looks like probably well, it's not really a fighter plane. It's a very fast single-engine airmail plane, of course. This is a twin-engine mail airplane that's designed to dive down, probably, and drop mail packages very precisely. We wouldn't use them to drop bombs or anything, but it's a peaceful airmail bomber. And here's like a twin-engine, long-range airmail delivery fighter, delivery plane that is designed to fly very fast to catch up to other airmail planes and like surpass them, not to shoot them down, just to surpass them and get your airmail. So my understanding is you come through the big front doors, under that big tower, and you come in down the hallway, maybe up some steps or something, and then you come into this room here with all these great peaceful big aircraft on developments. And then and I'm interpreting this from the photos, so somebody may know better, but I think I've got it right. You walk up this spiral here. I know some of you may know this from previous series, but if you haven't watched it yet, you walk up this spiral here, and you walk around here. So these are big enough for a bunch of people to walk on. They're suspended from the ceiling. So you walk up and around here, like this, through and around, look at our peaceful airplanes, and then out. I think that's the exit to the pavilion. So you come in through the front, past all that other stuff in the glass cases, then you come into sort of the big room with the big peaceful, not fighter airplanes, not bombers, but rapid mail delivery system airplanes. So, very interesting pavilion. We will use this to help our relations and help our industrial development by borrowing from our neighbors. How'd you like that, people? Creative? Well, we're slowly reducing down our descent, and I'm almost ready to just go put it all up there and reduce it in just a couple of days here. I just don't like to have any descent, because it is something we can control. I can't control party popularity. I can do things to help party popularity by having Goebbels in charge of national security with ruling party support, and I know I could put him in charge of a couple other things to do even more party support. Constantine gives us 1%. So there's a few things we can do, but it's sort of the internal factors there that are going on that we have very little control over. Okay. So now we're down to 4.38 for IC. Fighter pilot training is advanced. We got a little bonus for the ground training from the NSFK event. That's why that happened a little sooner. We'll go back to ground crew training for now, but Naver. Again, starting out with a bonus there because of the other event. Yeah, we got that last one. We're going to spend just a few days here. Stop all of the production and reduce this down. So we're losing half of one of these per day. So it looks like 9 days or so total. Hope that won't hurt more. Production schedule too much. And then, of course, 2 days after I get it down, we'll get something that reduces it by 2 or something. And that just seems to be the way it happens. Okay, build a National Research Center for Defense Research. Well, at the time it would have been called War Research. Defense was a term really started, developed after the Second World War. On the ground, I'm going to do sort of the ground stuff. So I've been putting it to aerospace. Aerospace is sort of, again, a post-war. It's also air and space. They would just see it as air. And since we're Germany, and the big thing that we want to do is to stop bombers, we're going to put it on single-engine aircraft. So that's my take on that. Alright, another event added by my friend George, 1941. Fall Grun was the plan to invade Czechoslovakia, who you can see there. Planned attack elements for it. Obviously, it was set up well before we were ready to go to war with them. And part of the plan set up and that they were working on was an extensive training operation. It wasn't just setting this up doesn't just represent you know, a bunch of guys in the general staff. Oh, well, we'll put these divisions here. Well, no, they looked at some of the Czech border defenses. They looked at where they needed to go, and obviously not in Czechoslovakia and not right on the border, but they started to train up some of the divisions for this. So we'll do this. Training costs a little bit. We didn't kill our supply production. Just regular production. And we're almost done with that. Okay, and we are done with that. So let's go back down to what was needed. Let's just continue more. And more air bases for Western Germany. Yes, we will do that. We're pump down the pump at the top. This will help with practicals considerably. And I want to take a quick look because we had several bases. Make sure that we don't have provinces that we're targeting for extra attention. Not having an air base being built, or a factory I see being built in there. They're doing good. Some of our dispersal plans here in the... Well, they've all got... being produced in that province. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, just stuff out here that... will help with that. Expand there, so we'll do that. As you increase in factories, and I know you all, most all know this, but as you increase in factories, you increase in the needs for your materials. Saudi Arabia. Yes, we will do that as well. We've already got them, yeah. That's just because shortly we're going to have a few more come available. And we're almost done there. Just should have put a few more into the production queue before. I personally liked it better when you could just put a bunch in the queue and then once they were ready just then go to the map and drop them on the map. I understand that the AI doesn't do it that way, so, and it allows you to drop in one city very rapidly to build it up. And so since the AI, excuse me, since the AI doesn't do it, they don't want to let you do it to unfairly disrupt that, unfairly compete. Okay, Carmina Baruna premieres. This is Karl Olav's opera of the type. And very popular in Germany at the time. From my understanding, the National Socialists, as I say, were first worried about parts of it, but decided to embrace the peace. So yes, do we have to go? This improves our national unity. A little bit. There, from 95 to 96. Okay, and let's get you. Twin engine airframe research has advanced. That is useful. It's going to allow us, eventually, once we get that, to improve. So here we will for that. Okay, Guderian. Guderian's book, Achtung Panzer, Attention Panzer, or Attention Tank, whatever. I've read it at least once. I don't know if I read it more than once. This had a significant effect on German military thinking, especially in and around the Armored Corps. I don't know how much it affected the mountain warfare guys or the traditionalists, but it definitely improves a bunch of these things. I don't give you a choice. Now, okay, just to show you what's happening. Because of this and Rommel's book were published, had a lot of influence, definitely helped with spreading the word, the idea. That's part of what I look at these doctrines and various texts. It's not just is somebody having a brilliant idea, it's having the idea, convincing other people that the idea is good, and then training large number of people, and not just the general in charge of the division or the corps, but also the major, the captain, and the sergeant, all of the concepts and why they do this and why it should happen. So it's part of the reason you go through the periods of time and certain texts are different and doctrines are different to time to research, is because it's the dissemination of the knowledge through a large group of people. Well, a good book or a publication that promotes those ideas helps spread those ideas faster. They don't replace, because although I've read the book, doesn't mean I'm qualified to go and lead an armored battalion. I still need to get some actual training, leading, a tank platoon, an armored company, and then an armored battalion. But reading that book helps along with the training, because you can train on just, how to give the commands and how to, outside of even leadership training and other training like that. But, just the various commands and the way that you do that. So this is why I sort of call myself an armchair general, is because I've read a lot of these books. I think I understand the concepts. I think I get it. That doesn't mean that I know who to tell what to do, when and how, all of that, and then get the feedback on the battlefield and know where is a real problem and where is a not a real problem, and know where there's a real advantage to take it. All of that's a different whole set of skills. So I don't compare myself or my knowledge to real people who really know it. I'm not trying to do that. But on the war game front, I do sort of consider myself an armchair general. Not the best or the greatest or anything like that, but I do qualify myself as that. And obviously, a guy who knows all these details on how to move a real division around and how to organize it, it doesn't necessarily help him here. You're just moving chips around, rolling the dice, or having the computer roll the dice, so it doesn't help him. So I could compete, I think, on this war games field with somebody with a lot of real world knowledge, but doesn't mean I can do his job in the real world. I'm not trying to go down that road at all. But so armchair general, yes. Real general, no. Now, because I did this for Germany, I also wanted to be fair, and there were some books written in other countries. De Gaulle in France, B.H. Littlehart in England, and Fuller also in England. They wrote very big books. I'm pretty sure it was Littlehart's book that I focused on in England, and De Gaulle. They both get an event. Now their event is different in that they have, for both of their countries, a choice. Because basically, although they wrote their books, both countries more or less ignored their advice at this time. It does disseminate knowledge, and it's different where Guderian, Germany was forming panzer divisions. France wasn't. Their armor was sort of company based, attached to infantry divisions, and yeah, they had the concept maybe of tank divisions, but they weren't looking at it. And it was, I think, the first, and I may be wrong about this, but the first real armored divisions were formed like in 1939, 40, I think it was 40 after the war starts, and by bringing together a bunch of like armored regiments or whatever that were sort of set up to be pursuit units or something, but they weren't the kind of combined arms that de Gaulle wanted to see, or that Guderian wanted to see in Germany. And so they get the choice of the books doctrine, or like for France, it's a bunch of defensive texts that will help you defend the Maginot Line. Britain, I think the opposite, and it's been more than a year since I made the event, so I'm going from memory, is either a bunch of mobile doctrines, which the AI generally, or I don't know if there's a percentage, I think it's like 80 or 90% to go historical, and only a little bit to go there. There's, instead of defensive doctrines, because Britain wasn't defensive minded in its military, but it focuses the opposite. The other choice is improved air and naval, as to protect Britain with better air and better naval, and that's the historic choice that I have them make. So I sort of balance it out with them. Those are the only ones, because I don't know of anybody publishing books in the Soviet Union. Not to say that didn't happen, and there really wasn't, I don't think, any books being published at this time of like Fuller's or de Gaulle's or Little Hearts or Rommel's or Guderian's being published in the U.S. that were such forward-thinking military figures. One of the 19th century military figure who published a very important book was Alfred Thayer Mahan. Now that's a naval doctrine book. But again, I say it's 19th century. Well, before this period. So there were forward-thinking military thinkers in the U.S., but not publishers or being published works at this time period of any significance that I know of, at least, that had any significant influence over U.S. Okay, so we get this. Okay, I think it's going to be time to end this session. Thank you so much for viewing. Please, again, like the post. Please post feedbacks. I really appreciate this, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're continuing with other series. I think by the time this is out, there'll be 2 or 3, I'm not sure exactly what day this is going to hit, of the King's Crusade series. It's where I play a game that seems reasonably good. I really, unlike this game I played a lot before, I just played a little bit of the tutorial and a little bit past, or I played the tutorial and a little past it before I started playing for the game. So mostly you're going to see me play it the first time. But it covers the Third Crusade with Richard the Lionheart. And I talk about it and how it's overall that specific crusade and those personalities, as well as the overall crusade conflict with the Middle East, how it got started, how it happened, and its influences today. And so that's what I'm covering that. If you're at all interested in that, I don't again know how great the game's going to be. The game will be interesting eye candy, and will hopefully some interesting challenges, but you also get to hear me pontificate on about that subject as well too. Thanks so much. We will be continuing this next time.